At Sierra, discover great deals on top brand workout gear, like high-quality walking shoes, which might lead to another discovery.
40,000 steps, baby. Who's on top now, Karen?
You've taken the office step challenge a step too far. Don't worry, though. Sierra also has yoga gear. It might be a good place to find your zen. Discover top brands at unexpectedly low prices. Sierra, let's get moving.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? Well, with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills. Wait, did I say job title yet? Get started today and see how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, I'm Candice Lim.
And I'm Kate Lindsay. And you're listening to ICYMI.
In case you missed it.
Slate's podcast about internet culture.
And Kate, I would love to know, what do you think when politicians shitpost?
It's hard for me because on the one hand, shitposting, it's the language of the internet, and I'm happy they are attempting to use that language to reach voters. But at the same time, I think you and I working in media are a little bit too close to like how the sausage gets made in terms of how public figures and companies and corporations and brands go the processes they go through to get tweets out there and fundamentally that it is not, it's not actually Wendy from Wendy's sitting down and tweeting. And in the same case as this, when a politician sits down and, shitpost, tweets something out of pocket, they signed off on it, but it was a team of social media coordinators who were the ones ultimately typing.
Yeah, and before we get too deep in it, I did want to kind of define what a shitpost from a politician looks like. It's memes, it's trolling Trump, maybe using some of the crazy phrases, and I gotta admit, viral phrases that he uses, but make him, to make fun of him. Mm-hmm. I also am thinking a little bit about Joe Biden. Do you remember when he kind of embraced Dark Brandon?
Yes, I remember that. It was funny.
Yeah, right. And this is kind of when the Republican Party was, making comments about his cognition, questioning his ability to, be president. They call him Brandon. And then he tweets, that photo of him with those crazy red eyes. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing of it showed he was in the joke. But I do think people were still ha, ha, ha. Okay, Grandpa Joe, go back to bed now. And I would say that really describes how I feel when politicians shitpost, which is that doesn't really work for me because just like you were saying, I know for a fact that a social media digital director, communicator was behind that. I know that they're the ones really typing it out. And so in my head, I'm just kind of Joe didn't say that. Joe's not making the joke. Joe's not actually funny. Therefore, this is nothing.
And I'm not confident even when shown this that Joe Biden understood it. I think he was just assured that this would work. And so again, It comes back to that authenticity. But there is someone right now who is kind of emerging as the new shitpost politician, the number one before this, of course, being Donald Trump. But this new shitpost politician, king of the summer, Gavin Newsom, kind of, I don't know who would have thought, but one of our Slate colleagues, Luke Winkie, he actually wrote a piece about your governor, Candice. You own this, the governor of California. Gavin Newsom. And for the past few months, Newsom has taken a very interesting turn on Twitter in terms of how he communicates. And it is spread from Twitter to TikTok. And what that is posting like Trump.
Yes. And what we mean by that is look, it's all caps. It's stream of consciousness. He's trolling back at Fox News when they talk about Gavin. And he's talking about Trump, talking about Gavin. And I would say that all of this started because, leading up to the midterm election later this year, Republicans in Texas have been pushing to redraw their congressional district lines. And their hope is to get more Republican voters in certain precincts. in order to get more Republican candidates into office. And Trump, very vocally supportive of this.
And in response to that, Newsom launched a campaign to redraw the district map in California, and he's calling this plan the Election Rigging Response Act. And it will be on the California midterm ballot in November, and basically it would wipe out a few Republican congressional seats in California and replace them with Democratic seats, which is like the vice versa of that, basically is what's they're attempting to do in Texas.
Exactly. And to kind of spread his message, to spread his agenda, Gavin is taking a bit of an abnormal route, okay? He has been using social media to post about and to post like Donald Trump. And I would say it's been getting him a lot of attention, but in a way, it might be working not only to defeat Trump's gerrymandering initiative, but to also invigorate the Democrats to take Gavin seriously, especially as a possible 2028 presidential candidate.
So today, we're going to bring in Luke to talk about if Gavin Newsom's shitposts are passing the vibe check.
Prime delivery is fast. How fast are we talking? We're talking puzzle toys and lickpad delivered so fast you can get this puppy under control fast. We're talking chew toys at your door without really waiting fast. Pee pads, cooling mat, and peg hammer fast and fast. And there's training TREATS faster than you can say sit fast. And now we can all relax and order these matching hoodies to get cozy and cute fast. Fast free delivery. It's on Prime.
Today's world is changing so fast that it's easy to feel lost. One thing that can help is amazing mentors. If you're in need of insights that could make your life better, you need Masterclass. I really loved watching Ron Finley's class on gardening. You may know him as the gangster gardener who built a community garden in South Central LA. His class gets into everything from why everyone should grow a plant, what types of soil you need to get going, and what good comes from learning to grow. With Masterclass, you can learn from the best to become your best. With plans starting at $10 a month, billed annually, you get unlimited access to over 200 classes taught by the world's best business leaders, writers, chefs, and more. Plus, every new membership comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's no risk. Right now, ICYMI listeners get an additional 15% off any annual membership at masterclass.com/online. That's 15% off at masterclass.com/online. Masterclass.com/online.
New season, new chaos in college football.
Let's go! Big stage, big opportunity.
This Labor Day weekend, the wildness lives on ABC, ESPN, and the all-new ESPN app.
What a way to start!
Featuring top 10 teams like Clemson, Notre Dame, Alabama, and LSU, and Bill Belichick's debut at North Carolina.
It's so special when these teams collide.
Don't miss a lineup filled with electric matchups.
Welcome back to college football.
Kickoff week presented by Modelo. Labor Day weekend on ESPN and ABC. Also available to stream on the all-new ESPN app.
And we're back. And joining us on the show today is Slate staff writer Luke Winkie. Hello, Luke.
Hey, guys. Good to be here.
Luke, it's our first time recording.
I know, yeah. I since you came along, this is our ICYMI partnership debut.
I know, despite the fact that in the office we kind of sit exactly like this.
It's true,
across from each other.
I was like wondering where you were then, like about 15 minutes before recording. You just breezed in. I was like, all right, we're doing
I
this.
am the arriving 15 minutes late holding coffee meme a lot of the time.
15 minutes early, really.
That is true. For this recording, absolutely. But you were here not just to talk about me, but also because you wrote a great piece for Slate. And you wrote about Gavin Newsom, who is the California governor. He's been going on kind of a Twitter spree lately. It's a very new posting style. It's also a very familiar posting style. And what I like about the piece is that there's been a lot of reactions to this kind of this new approach from Gavin, my close personal friend. And I think people are feeling a little bit conflicted because well, you get into a lot of great reasons why people are conflicted in your piece, and especially as someone who grew up in California but you do not live there now. What is your relationship to Gavin Newsom? Like, is there a memory of him that comes to mind, a fond memory?
I think I was out of California by the time he hit like super mainstream California politics. I mean, I think my relationship to Gavin Newsom's probably pretty similar to most left-leaning people in this country, where he seems like he's an effective. He's good at like being on TV and doing the politics stuff, but just seems like fundamentally untrustworthy and very mercenary with all of his policy positions and morals. Feels like he has a moral compass that's like always up for negotiation and debate, which he has kind of a record of doing that. Just kind of like a sleazy personality, and I don't even mean that completely in a derogatory way. I think there is actually something kind of appealing about his sleaziness. Yeah, a little bit. But yeah, just the kind of guy that like looks and sounds the part of like a professional politician, like a Democratic front runner, but just is fundamentally untrustworthy in a way that I think that's pretty much how everyone sort of perceives him, honestly.
Yeah, I've never, unlike you and Candice, I have not ever grown up in California. But so my relationship to Gavin Newsom, insofar as there is one, is very limited. But I would say that he just, to me, is the name I keep hearing anytime we need to grasp for a straw of a potential presidential candidate for the Democrats.
Yeah, no, I mean, Luke, I definitely just wanted to paint the real picture, which is that I think in your piece you said he has a coke dealer-esque slick back and high cheekbones. Accurate, honestly, accurate.
Which one of those I say in the piece, he probably can't fix the cheekbones, but he could maybe change the hair a little bit.
Yeah, so Luke, you grew up in San Diego. I'm from Orange County. I think actually my relationship and how, like, my first memory of Gavin is actually quite similar to my first memory of Kamala Harris, which is honestly, I just remember them being like names on mastheads of like occasional documents that were sent to my school, but I didn't care about their politics. I didn't really know anything about them. I kind of think what fascinates me about Gavin now is that, like, he has been in a type of public office of California since like 2004. And I think a lot of different generations remember him a little differently. Like, he was the mayor of San Francisco, and that's when he was married to someone who ended up dating Donald Trump Jr. He gets divorced from her, has a bit of a playboy phase. And I literally meet people like still to this day who think of him like that. They think of him as like the playboy San Francisco mayor. But I think for a younger generation, I wonder if he's kind of opening a new door to like how people perceive him, which maybe it's something between the coke dealer you were speaking of, Luke, but also maybe it's more refined. Maybe something about COVID and just coming out of that and how he's still like in office and trying to do something. Maybe that's helping him, you know?
Well, speaking of COVID, there are a slew of things that you begin your piece with, Luke, when you come to intro. The reason we're here to talk about Gavin Newsom, which is this new style of tweeting that he has adopted, very Trump-esque. It's really unexpected to see from a Democratic politician because we're so used to Democrats being the, like, when they go low, we go high, or like at the very least, they'll be brat. But this is finally meeting Trump where he's at. But like you said, people are conflicted about it, and not even just because of the content, but because of Gavin Newsom himself. Like, when we were talking about COVID, he famously was called out for, dining at French Laundry?
Yeah, hell yeah, it was.
This is one of those places that I understand sounds really, really fancy, but it's too far away from me me to really even understand what it...
Yeah, it's like a very Michelin star Chez Panisse, not even in the Bay Area, but like around it. And the whole controversy is just that this was kind of like very early COVID when, you know, you're not really supposed to go to restaurants. If you do, people are like, well, you're risking other people. And he was spotted there. And people were like, I can't believe you're telling me to stay home, but you need to go to French Laundry and it's expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a cartoonishly hilarious place to like defy COVID lockdowns.
Totally.
I mean, it is like it's where you expect like the two-faced politician to end up while defying COVID lockdown.
Yeah, I would honestly sometimes compare it to like it's the Soho House of restaurants, but like in
right, for
like
sure.
the North House. Yeah, and pretentious. I think that's part of it, which is that people were mad that he was, on TV talking about COVID and trying to be like this public servant, and yet he was doing these things like going to pretentious restaurants that a lot of his constituents could not go to, while also like pretending he was immune from the disease around us, which was like a common thing about rich people who could go to their houses in Montecito. It was not a good time for him. I'll say that.
Yeah, there were a few other incidents that predate this social media turn, one being that after the election, Gavin had Charlie Kirk on his podcast. And that was when he kind of basically agreed that trans athletes in sports were troubling and was like kind of pandering to that audience.
Yeah. Deeply unfair, I believe, was
Deeply
the
unfair for transgender
quote.
athletes to play in female sports. Yes.
It was like a classic Newsom thing where it just like, all right, I think this is where the vibe shift is headed.
Yes.
I think I'm gonna beat everyone here. It's one of those things that just sort of it's illustrative of like, okay, like, but like, dude, like, what do you believe?
Right.
Like,
but following the vibe is very perhaps illustrative of where he is now and why he's posting like this. Because what was his internet presence like before this?
My favorite Gavin kind of pre-crisis moment, this pre-Trump impression moment was in 2022 when the Republicans were doing that whole banned book kind of run in the midterms around that year, where they're basically a bunch of school boards were banning books and having this weird moral free panic about, which is still like to this day seems completely insane, but he like posted a photo of himself very thoughtfully like reading Beloved by Toni Morrison and had like a stack of other books like below it, like it was like 1984 by George Orwell.
Oh my God, was it like an earnest? Was it a very...
Yeah, the caption was like, I'm paraphrasing, it was just like, reading these banned books to see what all the fuss is about.
Right, so yeah.
Which that is compared to now, that's a level of soy posting, soy Democrat posting, which is not the kind of posting he's doing today, where he's trying to be more based, but in a liberal way.
He was the first performative male.
Yeah, when I floated, because I'm in a group chat with some men from California. I heard like one guy.
Okay.
I'm in a group chat with a male. With a male journalist who used to cover California politics, and I just like, can you give me like rundown of all the Gavin Newsom stuff? And like one of the first three things he said was like archetypical performative male. This clearly is a widely held view.
Yeah. So Luke, when would you say that you noticed that Gavin went from like performative male, trying to be nice about everyone, very kind of bland Democratic politician, to what he's doing now, just all caps, loud, kind of abrasive, kind of like sometimes feeling like he doesn't care what he's posting. He just wants to get it out there.
Yeah, it was during the, like as everyone knows right now, California is currently in this redistricting push to drop new congressional maps in response to Texas redrawing their maps ahead of the midterms, which is going to require a referendum and all this stuff. It was around then, I think that's what the first time I saw it, where it was from the governor's press office, not the official account, but like his press office, and it was all caps, and it was like, in a very Trump-style diction, was basically saying like, I have a like Trump needs to respond to this deadline, otherwise we're going to push through this redistricting, like random quotation marks around certain words. It was just basically a Trump impression, which kind of made sense because redrawing congressional maps is like a sort of like it's like part of like this like whole anti-democratic like moment we're having, which is like, oh, listen, I'm all for redrawing those maps, do not get me wrong, but like I think it kind of like fit, right? It's like you're trying to like do this brinksmanship with Trump over, gerrymandering your maps, so it sort of makes sense to adopt this kind of approach when you're talking about it to kind of to play the game as you were with Trump. That's when it started, and it kind of caught fire, and it's just been It's only escalated, and it's been about things far beyond redistricting since then.
Yeah, he's had I want to read a few just like specific things that he said. He's adopted Trump's penchant for creating nicknames. So like Ted Cruz is Cancun Cruz because he always seems to be on vacation whenever a disaster hits his state.
Amazing.
Or, there's things like creating AI generated images of like, Kid Rock, famously a Trump supporter, pretending Kid Rock is supporting him or tweeting things in all caps. Like, I now have the highest poll numbers I've ever had. Very familiar. What do you have a favorite from this new era of Gavin's posting?
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite post?
There's a couple. One I didn't mention in the piece. I forget what it was. There was some Fox News host he just called a ding dong. It was like,
yep.
which made me laugh.
Yep. Yeah.
That was a really good one. It's easy. The Kid Rock one is the funniest and most illustrative because he just.
I honestly love that one.
Yeah, because it's just a straight up lie.
So can I actually explain what this looks like? So because I love this post too. So basically, Gavin Newsom has like his own person Twitter, and then his press office has a Twitter. That's kind of where all the crazy stuff goes down. But basically, his press office Twitter, they posted an AI-generated image of Kid Rock, the musician, as Uncle Sam. And like there is block text that says like, Kid Rock wants you to vote for Gavin Newsom. Here's the issue. Kid Rock very publicly voted for Trump. And so Kid Rock like responds with the repost. He literally tweets, the only support Gavin Newsom will ever get out of me is from these nuts. Now, you might think that's the end of this, right? Oh, no, because Gavin's press office Twitter then responds, all caps, I hate Kid Rock, space, 3 exclamation marks, signed GCN, Gavin Christopher Newsom.
It's just a straight up lie.
Yes.
Like Kid Rock didn't endorse Gavin Newsom, and he just posted a photo of Kid Rock and said that he did, which is like the sort of thing that I'm not saying that like lying about stuff is good, but it's also something that Republicans can't really be mad about anymore because like all their guy does is lie about stuff.
Yeah.
No, he gave a quote kind of about not necessarily his tweeting style, but about this redistricting effort. And he goes, we tried to hold hands and talk about the way the world should be. We can't just think differently. We have to act differently, which I think gets into a little bit about why this change is important. Why do you it seems to be effective when we say it's working with voters? Why is it important?
I saw just one quick thing on that. Obama came out and said, they should redraw the maps.
Right.
Like when Obama is coming out and being like, no, I think, they absolutely should write out all the Republicans in the state. That's how you know the game has changed. In terms of why it's resonating with voters, I mean, it's funny. It's a good bit. It's more effective than the usual kind of super solemn, serious. It's
like
all
someone has
fascism.
to fix this.
We're all going down the drain. We need to panic about the creep of fascism, and all that stuff is true. Or the again more soy style Cheeto in chief orange turd. That style of anti-Trump posting. It's more effective. It's funnier, and I gotta be honest. I think for a lot of people I think a lot of people can understand viscerally why Trumpism is appealing, even if they don't associate with any of the politics of just wow, this is our guy, and he's just kind of being mean and talking mess and just being a dick and is not really worried too much about saying the wrong thing, not even that worried about the truth, as long as what he's saying feels emotionally has emotional valence to it. And that is what this stuff is, right? I think you were able to, I think for a lot of liberals are able to kind of vicariously experience the thrills of Trumpism in this way through Gavin Newsom. As I say at the end of the piece, I saw one tweet that's listen, he may be a psycho, but he's our psycho. I think that's a lot what's going on here.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, who is Gavin posting for, and is it working for us?
Jack Daniels is proudly served in fine establishments, questionable joints, and everywhere in between. So, no matter where you go, in every bar, you'll always know someone by name.
Jack. Jack and Coke?
Shot of Jack?
Jack Daniels, please.
Right away.
That's what makes Jack, Jack.
Please drink responsibly. Responsibility.org. Jack Daniels and Old No. 7 are registered trademarks. Copyright 2025 Jack Daniels. Tennessee whiskey. 40% alcohol by volume. 80 proof.
Ford Blue Cruise hands-free highway driving takes the work out of being behind the wheel, allowing you to relax and reconnect, while also staying in control. Enjoy the drive in Blue Cruise-enabled vehicles like the F-150, Explorer, and Mustang Mach-E. Available feature on equipped vehicles. Terms apply. Does not replace safe driving. See Ford.com/BlueCruise for more details.
Hey there! If you love our podcast, then maybe you should consider subscribing to Slate Plus to immediately unlock bonus episodes. Plus, you'll access ad-free listening across all your favorite Slate podcasts, including bi-weekly bonus episodes of our show. Subscribe now on Apple Podcasts by clicking Try Free at the top of our show page, or visit slate.com/ICYMI Plus to get access wherever you listen.
And we're back. So I think now I kind of want to get to just the responses and really kind of try to understand, like, who is mad? Who is this working on? Maybe we start with the conservative response to this. I mean, Luke, how would you characterize the way that they are reacting to specifically, like, Gavin and his shit posting, I guess?
I've seen a lot of stuff of just being like, oh, he's just doing an, like, imitation that's not too creative or whatever, or like, you know, I haven't seen like full blown outrage. I did see like something like I saw he posted something that like people were claiming on the right were claiming was like blasphemous or something.
Sure.
And then someone reminded that poster that like Trump just posted a Photoshop of like himself as the Pope.
Right.
I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
Right. I mean, to a lot of that base, the new Cracker Barrel logo was
right.
So it's like, I'm going to take that with a pinch of salt.
Yeah. It's actually kind of funny how seriously some folks seem to be taking this thing, which is a fundamentally fairly unserious enterprise.
Well, I wonder if they're baffled at kind of getting this energy thrown at them. Like, apparently Kid Rock had to issue a statement like, no, I didn't endorse. And one thing I realized that I think we took for granted, or at least perhaps something that has come out of what like feels now like 80,000 years of dealing with Trump, is that the opposition is very used to dealing with his behavior in a way that Republicans are not. And I think it is weird to suddenly be like, wait, I'm being lied about. Meanwhile, we're like, what? Like, we've been lied about for a decade.
Yeah. It's also like it's removed. I mean, the most recent thing that happened in this like stupid corner of like political discourse before this was the Sydney Sweeney jeans ad, which was all about how, Democrats, they just don't get it. They take everything too seriously. They're so out of touch. Like they freak out over everything. They're too online. They're too fragile about all this stuff. And I don't know, to like go from that to people freaking out about Gavin Newsom doing a Trump impression or like the Cracker Barrel thing on that side, I think is a good reminder that the people on the right who claim to be in touch with the real America are just as unhinged and psychotic and way too online as people on the left a little bit.
Yeah, I think my thing is, speaking of having endured 10, 15 years of Trump's tweets, there's a part of me that's like, okay, there was already one guy doing this. Now there's two of them that I'm going to run into. I mean, obviously it's for the other side, but a part of me is like, this might be too much Trump for me, even though part of it's coming from Gavin Newsom. But we've talked about how we think it's doing with regular voters, with conservatives. But I want to know how, is it working for us, like as people, like
in the room,
room, or in the metaphorical room? Like, Candice, he is your current governor. What are your thoughts on this?
I know. Yeah, it's interesting because my take on Gavin Newsom is that I've always found him quite bland. He never really got a sense of who and what he stood for. And obviously when I see him shitposting this summer, my brain immediately goes like, all right, like what's the peg? What's the timing? What's going on there? And the first thing to note is that Gavin can't run for governor in 2026 because he can't do a third term. And obviously he made a joke about that on TikTok.
Yes.
Good for him. And the thing is, like, Gavin technically could run for California senator, right? But those people are in terms till 29, 30. Therefore, everyone's thinking like, oh, he's definitely putting his hat in the ring for presidential election 2028. And in terms of like if it's working for me, I will admit I'm kind of into it. I find it funny. It just looks so unserious. Like fonts everywhere, Trump, like they say Trump everywhere. And then I actually get into it and scroll through, and it's just really funny how he is jumping on trends and headlines that I wouldn't necessarily expect him to do. Like, for example, he posted a TikTok of the Coldplay CEO affair footage, right?
Oh my God.
The kiss cam footage.
Yeah.
And he imposed Trump's face on the head of HR and Jeffrey Epstein on the face of the CEO.
Oh my God.
And one of the comments was like, when I realized who posted this, I died. And I was like, that's true. Because when I saw that as well, I was like, Gavin? So he's doing things like that. He's doing things like using Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl performance to talk about the election redistricting act. He's making 80s workout video edits of RFK Jr. doing squats. And I find his voice maybe not disjointed, but younger than I would assume from the Gavin of now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I found myself looking at those posts, especially just him doing the Trump impression and being like, I shouldn't find this that effective, but I do.
Yeah.
I feel like I shouldn't like this that much, but it's mostly it's a really good Trump impression.
Yeah.
He does the space between the commas like an old guy does.
I love that shit.
Yeah, he has really nailed it in a way that you do have to hand it to him.
Yeah. And so the thing is, even though this is working on me, and I would actually say I find him funny and effective as a content creator, maybe not so much as a politician, because the thing is, if I may speak lightly about my personal political preferences, I don't want him to be our next president. Despite how much this is working on me, it's not working on me all the way to the polls, because first, we're just so early in a potential 2028 presidential election that I have to assume better candidates, younger candidates, more candidates of color are going to emerge. I also just think that he is not the one. He's just the only one right now. And that's why people gravitate towards him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to speak hard about my current political preferences. So I don't know, maybe, Luke, because we're both in New York, and recently New York just had a very public mayoral primary where Zohran Mamdani, who won the Democratic mayoral primary, it was a huge upset because he beat Cuomo. He's now facing off against Cuomo and Eric Adams, who are running independent.
Don't forget Curtis.
I was about to say Curtis Sewell Erasure. Less said about him, the better. But one of the reasons that campaign made so many headlines and reached countries for whom he will never be their mayor is because people were so energized. Voters were so energized. Young voters came out in record numbers. There was numbers from his team that more than 50,000 people signed up to volunteer, 30,000 working as canvassers, knocking on doors. He really mobilized people, and everything you read about that will attribute that to his social media presence, where he was very affable on TikTok, kind of shitposty, spoke very frankly. How would you compare the two? Do you think there's a similarity between what Zohran did and what Gavin is now trying to do, or is perhaps inspired
Yeah, for sure.
by?
I think obviously the Newsom thing is way more of a gimmick, right?
Yeah.
He's doing a bit. But I think the important thing to remember is this Newsom thing started, it was kind of tied to a pretty tangible policy goal, which is to redraw the California maps.
Yeah.
And that's it's been pretty strongly on message. That has been the thing that's kind of dominated the political conversation in the past few months. It's obviously dominated California political conversation over the last month or two. And I don't know, that's not that dissimilar from Zohran being razor sharp focused on freezing the rent and affordability, I obviously it's Zohran's not doing a Trump impression. It isn't it's not a shtick.
Yeah.
But I do think that part of the reason this Newsom thing has worked is because for a guy who can be pretty slippery, it's pretty clear what he wants to accomplish and what he's trying to galvanize energy behind,
Yeah, I think how I feel is a little bit what you said, where it's tied to an actionable goal. And I think that is important for me to get behind it, because I find the sort of hand-waving away of Zohran Mamdani's success being due to just good TikToks to be to speak frankly, like Democrats refusing to acknowledge that people actually are not supportive of their mainstream policies anymore.
Right.
And in fact, the people are supportive of policies that for some Democrats, they will be actively harmed by in terms of like income and who their donors are. And so for me, it's been very obtuse to watch lots of establishment Democrats either think or willfully pretend that the reason that someone like that is popular is not because of their policies, but because they know how to post.
Mm-hmm.
And then we see that kind of fail. And I think another thing I'm exhausted by is, like you said, like years and years of posting through it and it not changing anything. Mm-hmm. And so I think what's most important for Gavin to keep people, and because like this is sort of one action item, but presumably he is gearing up for a presidential campaign or testing the waters at least, and there's still a lot of time for that. I would want to see really consistent action paired with these messages, because then, you know, I fell victim to Brat. I allowed myself to feel hope. I won't do it again.
Yeah.
I mean, the Brat thing that was an issue of, like, Brat was fun, but, like, it didn't have a lot of concrete sort of, like, relatable policy objectives behind it.
That was right, because she didn't, you know, come up with it herself, but, like, that was, like, the vibe. Someone would be like, okay, but what are her actual stanzas? And it's like, don't listen to stands. Like, because it was just so, like, such a dissociation.
Yeah. I mean, I think the question we're, like, still kind of circling is, like, Gavin may be shitposting through it, but is it actually affecting real change? Because I think one of the greatest things about Zoran's, like, campaign is that he had a great digital strategy. I'm all the way out in LA, and so many people in Silver Lake like cared about this guy that we can't even legally vote for. And so I think for some of us on the other side, or maybe outside of New York, we have this like, we like love seeing what happens with Zoran. We kind of want to put that energy somewhere. And maybe Gavin's kind of the closest magnet we have. I mean, there was a poll that you linked, Luke, in your piece from Echelon Insights. They asked people like, if the 2028 Democratic presidential primary were being held today, who would you vote for? First name Kamala Harris, 26%. Gavin is second at 13. Not bad.
I mean, that's a good example, though, that, like, I mean, just like the reason Kamala's first there is because she's got the name recognition that none of these guys don't have. And, like, the fact that, like, he's second does, like, at least lead you to believe that more people are, like, aware of who Gavin Newsom is. And I think that's probably tied to some of the stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right, which is that he is no longer just the California governor. He's trying to like market himself as like a national politician. And the thing is, despite this polling, Democrats, there's just been reporting about Democrats losing voters over years and years. The question is Gavin holding the key to something? Like, is better social media the answer?
This is, this might be a slight tangent.
Go for it.
But there's a guy, Edinger Mentum, on Twitter who's like a good, like, he's like the Steve Kornacki for like Zoomers.
Okay.
And I enjoy his post. He kind of made the point that like the reason why the Zoran campaign was effective, and this was around the time when Cuomo, like a month ago, started posting much like schizo memes that were like really weird.
Yeah.
And he just said like the reason why Zoran like his campaign was effective is he latched on to short form video specifically. While already like doing good social media by posting memes is like sort of outdated and kind of resonates with like if you're like 71 and you want to like be in the internet, you might be like, okay, we need to like get someone to like make memes for us. And I think like a guy like Zoran, and even to a certain extent, like, because what Newsom isn't doing, he's not like posting memes. He's like, he has like a shtick he's doing. That feels like the Zoran TikToks, the very elaborate Trump impression feels a little bit like, again, what Newsom's always good is identifying where things are headed or trying to like get ahead of the curve a little bit. And I think Zoran and Newsom are demonstrating maybe a better understanding of where the internet is than like the ICE account posting like AI memes, you know? Like,
well, yeah, I think that's a little bit where I land, where it's like good social media is important, but I think Democrats are being short-sighted if they think the only thing standing between them and one election is a good tweet. But at the same time, bad social media is horrible.
Yeah.
And so it's almost like the bar is too low. Like the bar, you should just be having good social media. You shouldn't be doing what Eric Adams did, which is posting a video that's like POV day in the life, and already it's wrong because it's filming him, and so it's not his point of view. And then he puts timestamps for his day, and in one of them he's standing in front of a clock with a totally different time on it. Like, it's like either your social team hates you or you don't employ people who understand what this is, because you certainly don't. And everything about that is, again, really alienating. Like, it's not the answer to getting votes, but it's an easy way to turn people off.
For sure, yeah. I mean, having bad social media is it's ick giving. It's an easy way to give people the ick if you try to like do internet culture or do social media and do it like even like 20% wrong. Like it really does turn people off.
Yeah. Did people think, I'm thinking about Gavin Newsom posting with Beloved. Did people think it was cringe when it happened?
I remember I was thinking it was cringe. I don't know what I'm sure it was a hit in certain corners of the internet.
Yeah. Because there's like an era of, as this was coming up, when Zoran won, this came up when Kamala was announced as the candidate, like this idea of lib posting. And some people, when they're feeling that sense of hope, will be like, y'all mind if I lib post for a second? Yeah. Because which basically means tweet earnestly in support of the Democratic Party.
Living out.
Yeah. I think because we have watched like very, lib posting before it was cringe, it was obvious, like it did, I don't want to discount the important work that this messaging did do, but ultimately we are currently in a second Trump presidency. And so I think it feels particularly hollow.
We had like Sarah Cooper and
yes, right.
It was a pretty dark time for lib posting for quite a while there.
Yeah. I just want to acknowledge the elefante in the room, which is that like, is it possible that Gavin is also getting some good attention because maybe like a younger generation of voters is discovering that he's hot for the first time?
Speak for yourself.
I was going to say, I actually don't really like he's obviously a good looking guy. I don't like think of him as like a thirst target in quite that way.
That's why it's really funny.
Everyone's tastes are valid.
I enjoyed how they were circulating that photo of him just staring at that woman's boobs.
I know.
In a way to like kind of discredit him and just like, well, dude, like Trump's the come on,
right.
Right. I mean, but I asked this just because like as I was literally just searching up like Gavin Newsom on TikTok, yesterday alone found like several thirst edits of him. And I was just kind of like, I'll just speak for the people who make them of like, sometimes it's not so much that they find him hot. Maybe it's just that they find his message, what he represents. Maybe they find that attractive. I don't know.
Well, I think the bar for hotness, this is a whole other podcast we could do, Hot or Not Politics Edition, but the bar for hotness when it comes to a politician, I find, is incredibly low.
That is
like, true. It just needs to be like, has seen sunlight. And vaguely grooms themselves.
Honestly, this just makes me think that we're far enough removed from Obama now that it's like past the point of like direct memory for a lot of young people.
Yeah.
So they see this guy who like, oh, isn't this like what Obama felt like? It's like, no, it's not. I don't tell you.
I'm so sorry to tell you.
Like you'll know it when you see it.
Yeah.
This isn't it.
Yeah, I feel like, we've, as discussed, there are complicated feelings about this, and I know I'm not alone. But in general, it's heartening to see the Democratic Party making an attempt to basically catch up with the times. Like, do we think overall, even though maybe it's cringe or maybe that, or maybe it's, sure, I don't know, disingenuous, wherever people are coming from, do we think it's still a net good that we are moving towards a more social media savvy party?
Yeah, absolutely. I like that's like I think you've seen this in other like the Democrats account has had a couple of bangers over the last handful of months.
Yeah,
it's important to note here that like Gavin Newsom is not personally making these tweets. Like there has been some good reporting on his like social media team, which is mostly made up of a bunch of like chronically online like 25-year-olds who are making these posts and probably understand the internet a little bit better than Gavin Newsom and are kind of the ones that are truly behind this shtick. That's not to say, obviously, like we're sure that Newsom's probably signing off on these, but like, it's. I guess it should not be surprising that the people doing this are people who are probably really deeply immersed in like internet culture.
Right. I was going to say I would say the underlying elephant in the room the entire time is Gavin may post some picture like his photo with Beloved where he's like pretending to type on a phone. But this is fully a social media director, a comms person. This is their idea.
And I'm sure he signed off on it and is cool with it and is all for it. But yeah, this is definitely the product of a young person. But I think like, I don't know, like maybe this might be also a tangent. I saw like, again, going back to this guy, Edinger Mentum, who I enjoy, he's been making the case that like we're in the beginning of the rise of the soy right, as in like the right wing.
Where they get cringe?
Yeah, they've like, I saw it was like the ICE account or something, like posted this video of like a video game character, this guy Kratos from God of War, like swinging around these two axes, very epic, and just like join ICE, and someone quote tweeted and just said, "We have a soy occupied government currently."
Yeah.
And I guess my point here is that like the right, like, listen, they've had moments over the last 10 years where they've had moments of good posting. Like the right is actually terrible at like Elon Musk is one of the worst posters of all time, and like his posting sensibility has really like infected all of the right wing.
Yeah.
Like this is territory that can be reconquered. There's no way that the way the right is posting feels cool or relatable or not off-putting. So yeah, absolutely come up with some gimmicks. Like find ways to be like the competition is actually quite bad right now. So there is an opportunity to make some headway.
And whatever you try, it literally can't get worse.
Right. Honestly.
Okay, that's the show. We'll be back in your feed on Wednesday, so definitely subscribe. That way, you never miss an episode. Please leave us a rating and a review on Apple or Spotify, and tell your friends about us. You can follow us on Twitter at ICYMI_pod and on Instagram at ICYMI_pod. And you can always drop us a note at ICYMI@slate.com.
ICYMI is produced by Vic Whitley-Berry, Kate Lindsay, and me, Candice Lim. Daisy Rosario is our senior supervising producer. Mia Lobel is Slate's executive producer of podcasts. And Hillary Fry is Slate's editor-in-chief. See you online.
Or on whatever Gavin Newsom's next podcast is.
With Robinhood, not only can you trade individual stocks and ETFs, you can also seamlessly buy and sell crypto at low costs. Trade all in one place. Get started now on Robinhood. Trading crypto involves significant risk. Crypto trading is offered through an account with Robinhood Crypto LLC. Robinhood Crypto is licensed to engage in virtual currency business activity by the New York State Department of Financial Services. Crypto held through Robinhood Crypto is not FDIC insured or SIPC protected. Investing involves risk, including loss of principal. Securities trading is offered through an account with Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC, a registered broker-dealer.